And hello and welcome to the Victory Lap. As always, I am James Boss. Joined alongside me is Shane Taney. We're finally starting on time today. Feels like the first time in forever. So Shane, how you doing this morning, big guy?
I'm feeling all right this morning. You know, it's the last week of classes,
It is.
and this is our second to last episode of the Victory Lap.
Yep.
I'm feeling all right. How are you feeling?
You know, I'm feeling pretty good.
Yeah?
It's a solid day. It was
Good.
Monday felt like a holiday, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
So,
It's a nice hat, by the way.
thank you. It's a good hat. I like it.
It's not the usual flat brim.
No, it's not.
something different,
This is
yeah.
the only. I think I have two non-flat brims, and I believe this is one of them.
You got that at the games, I'm guessing, over spring break?
Actually, no. I got it yesterday in the mail.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice. Very nice.
Yeah. Anyways, let's get this show started with our first topic of the day. I just hinted towards it. Aaron Rodgers is officially out of Green Bay and a member of the New Jersey Jets. Should the Packers or Jets be happier that this deal got done?
I think I'd be happier if I'm the Jets. Landing Aaron Rodgers finally after everything. It seems like it took years to get this deal done. Because I think when I'm looking at it from Green Bay's perspective, you didn't want this to happen originally. Like, if you even go back a couple of years ago, you wanted Aaron Rodgers to retire a Packer. It's kind of unfortunate the way it all went down. So I think if you're the Jets, seems like you finally got your guy. However, I feel like you would also agree with this. I think it's almost Super Bowl or bust with
Yeah.
the Jets. By bringing him in, I feel like they're saying, okay, we're going all in. I think they have the offense and just about every other position they got covered. It just seems like it was just that they had Zach Wilson at quarterback, which obviously they're not winning anything with him. So
They won like 8 games with him. What are you talking
yeah,
about?
yeah. The one game where he had like 2 inches in the second half, that was
It's a masterclass.
Yeah, it really was. But I think the Jets should be very happy that this deal finally went through. And the Packers are going to look to Jordan Love and see if he can win them more than like 8 or 9 games, which I'm not sure if they can do. And I know you'll disagree there, but what do you think?
Well, I'm going to backpedal here. I don't, just to go with you real quick, I'm not necessarily sure I think Jordan Love is going to lead us to 10, 12 wins in his first year. I don't really think that's a reasonable thing to ask out of the kid. I'm just interested to see him actually play because, frankly, we haven't been able to see him play because we've had an old, angry man be our quarterback for the last very long time. And while he's been incredible, I can't argue that. He's one of the greatest quarterbacks to ever live. I mean, it would be a lie if we said it was anything but disappointing. Like, the guy won one Super Bowl 12 years ago. That's not good enough.
Seems
frankly.
like ages ago.
It does.
Which, quite frankly, it was.
I think I was in 6th grade, 5th grade when it happened. I was a child.
They beat the Steelers?
Steelers.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was a magical run. They were a wild card. They ran the table and then did the whole thing. It was awesome. I loved it. But it was a very long time ago. And that's the point, is Aaron Rodgers, I'm so happy he's finally out of Green Bay. I mean, I've been asking for him to get traded ever since they lost to the Niners in the championship 2 years ago. That was one. I don't even think it was a championship. I'm pretty sure it was the divisional. It was one of the most pitiful performances I have ever seen out of a human being in my entire life. He was the reigning 2-time MVP, back-to-back, reigning, defending NFL MVP, and he goes in and put up 7 points against the 49ers. He scored a single touchdown.
It was some low number like that.
It was either 7 or 10. I'm pretty sure it might have been 10. They might have lost 13-10. It doesn't matter. Regardless, he had 1 touchdown in the entire game. And this is coming off of one of his best seasons in his entire career, the year where their defense was actually insanely good. Like, the Packers had everything going for them in this season, and they do absolutely nothing. After that, it finally reached the point of, okay, Aaron Rodgers just can't do it in the playoffs. I've kind of already seen him not be able to do it in the playoffs for the last 12 years, but now this is really the worst that it had ever been. And I was completely sick of him. Before this last season, I wanted him gone. And then this season happened, and I wanted him gone even more. Like, the fact that he is finally out and Jordan Love is finally allowed to play as the starting quarterback for this team is so amazing. Granted, I think this is a great move for both sides. I think both teams should be happy with this. And so while the topic may be should the Packers or Jets be happier, I think they're both ecstatic. I think at least they both should be. The Jets probably a little more, but I'm a Packer fan, so I'm going to say the Packers should be happier because I'm happier. If anybody in the studio was around, if anybody around here in the studio saw on Monday when this occurred, I was just as excited for Rodgers to be gone as I was when the Dodgers won the World Series. I was running around like a little kid screaming for joy. Like, I haven't felt jubilation like I did when that trade finally occurred. I said it was like a holiday on Monday because it felt like a holiday. It felt like the bad man who had been tormenting my favorite team for the last 12 years was finally gone. And now he is. And now we have a new era. And maybe Jordan Love isn't going to be great. Who knows? If he's bad, maybe he's bad enough we can get Caleb Williams. And frankly, that's worth it for me because Caleb Williams is going to be insanely good. And we have a good enough team that if we get a guy like Caleb Williams in there, we can develop him into something good fairly quickly. So if we suck, we suck. We have a future ahead of us. Like, this is the first time I've gone into a season with hope. And I can't say I would have felt that if we had Aaron Rodgers on this team still.
It seems like the writing for this has been on the wall ever since they drafted Jordan Love.
Yeah.
But then it was almost Rodgers took that mentality of, okay, you want to draft a backup? Okay, watch this. And I think he won 2 more MVPs since then.
Back to back.
Yeah. So it's just going to be interesting to see what version of Aaron Rodgers the Jets are going to get. Mm-hmm. Because can he sort of revert back to that, or are you going to get the Aaron Rodgers from last year, which, quite frankly, wasn't very good. He started to pick it up down the stretch, but they missed the playoffs.
Yeah.
That's not what you want as the Jets.
He lost if he won against the Lions, he would have been in the playoffs, and he couldn't.
Which I don't know how you lose that game.
Me neither.
I think we watched that game together,
did.
and I'm like, oh yeah, Aaron Rodgers got this. He's been through this too many times. He can beat the Lions, and he couldn't.
Put up a dud.
And the Lions, I think, were already mathematically eliminated. And they still went out and beat him.
Yep.
So you can't have that if you're the Jets. Hopefully this is like a fresh start for him too, and just maybe a change of scenery is what he needed. But I think, like I said, they got to be thinking Super Bowl here.
Have to.
Because they're only getting him for
2 years.
Yeah, probably maximum 2 years.
Yeah.
So they don't have him for a lot of time, and it seems like now is their window. And like I said, they got the talent, like at every other position. So, and then the other thing is their division too.
Very good.
So, you're going to have to face Josh Allen twice a year. You're going to have to face the Dolphins. I think we can both agree they're probably better than the Pats.
Yeah.
So.
But it's still the Pats and it's still Bill Belichick. He can still steal a win against anybody.
I don't know. Who's winning this division? Is it going to be the Bills still?
If I'm being honest, I still think it's the Bills.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be this is the best division in football. And, you can argue that there's the NFC East that's still there, but I don't think they have the depth that this division does. As long as the Dolphins can keep Tua alive, they're going to win 10 games. The Bills, I think they're pretty much a shoo-in for 11 or 12 wins. I think the Jets are a shoo-in for 11 or 12 wins, and I think the Pats are getting 8 at the very minimum. Like, every team in this division is at the very least solid. And at the very best, one of the best teams in the entire NFL. I think the Jets are going to have some stumbles early on in the year because it's hard to fit in a quarterback in a new offense and immediately have it click. Mm-hmm. Not a whole lot of people have been able to do it. Tom Brady was able to do it, but if we're being honest, Tom Brady is miles ahead of Aaron Rodgers when it comes to being able to assimilate to anything.
And that offense was loaded.
It was. And as much as I like some of the pieces the Jets have, let's be honest, it's not as good as what the Buccaneers offense was when Brady got there. Like, Aaron Rodgers isn't going to be throwing the Mike Evans at Chris Godwin and Scotty Miller.
And Antonio Brown for half of it.
Exactly. So, he doesn't have the weapons that Brady had when he got there. And, I mean, I don't think Rodgers is going to come into this and immediately be on the same page as Garrett Wilson. As good as Garrett Wilson is, there's going to be some growing pains there figuring out how to play with Aaron Rodgers. On top of this, let's not forget the fact that Aaron Rodgers is 39. He will be 40 by the end of the season, and he's coming off the worst year of his career.
Yep.
That's kind of a sign that your quarterback is deteriorating and getting worse with age. It happens to older quarterbacks where they play like they're incredible and then they hit a wall and lose it. It happened with Peyton Manning. It happened with Tom Brady. It happens. Rodgers is at the age where it can just hit you. And I don't think that we can go into this and say Rodgers is a lock, a shoo-in to be an MVP candidate, one of the best players in the NFL, because frankly, if we're going off of last year, he wasn't even close to that. And if anything starts to go mildly wrong, he will check out, because that's what he just did in Green Bay, where as soon as there was some doubt, as soon as there was some controversy, and he's playing in New York, the New York media will make controversy even if there isn't any.
Yep.
It will get to him because it did get to him in the past, and he's shown no signs that it wouldn't get to him. So I don't see this being some sunshine and rainbows kind of thing where Rodgers is going to go here and it's going to be perfect. It's not. It doesn't work like that all the time. And with the way Rodgers is as a person, with the way this team has been as a whole, I don't think it's going to be great in New York. I think they're still going to be really good because they have too much talent on this team to not be really good. But I don't see them winning this division. I think they're going to start the season like 2-2, and the Bills aren't. And they can pick it up in the second half, but this schedule is so tough for them this year. Because they got to go through the NFC East is the NFC teams they're playing. So they don't even have free games there. Like, this is going to be a very tough year for the Jets, and I think they're still going to be really good by the end of it, but I don't think they win the division. Frankly, I don't even think they make it to the Super Bowl. I've never been a super big proponent of Aaron Rodgers in the playoffs, as we are very familiar in the last 15 minutes, 10 minutes we've been doing this, and you tag on top of that, he's going to have to go through the Bills. He's going to have to go through the Bengals. He's going to have to go through the Chiefs. The Jaguars look good. The Ravens look good. Like, he's going to have a very tough path to get through the AFC, and Rodgers hasn't shown an ability to get through a very tough path when it comes to making it to the Super Bowl. Like, it's not that easy for him. He couldn't do it in an NFC where it was basically a cakewalk sometimes. Like, I don't think this guy has it to get through such a loaded AFC class in the playoffs.
Yeah, and I got to wonder how Zach Wilson feels about this deal.
Oh, it's not good.
Because you remember the quote he said about if the Jets were to ever bring in a veteran quarterback. We both know what he said.
Oh, yeah.
This could be not the worst thing in the world for him. Maybe Rodgers will come in there and sort of maybe mentor him and sort of...
No shot.
Probably not.
There's
but
no chance.
He should, because Rodgers knows he's not going to be there for long. And if he kind of takes Zach Wilson under his wing, he can maybe prepare him so it's sort of his team once he leaves. I don't think he really will do that, but that would probably be the right thing to do.
It would be the right thing to do, but when has Aaron Rodgers ever done the right thing?
Because we saw how he acted with Jordan Love.
Exactly.
At least that's what it was perceived by, like, media and everything, about that he wasn't very happy that he was there.
Because he wasn't. He said it himself that he wasn't happy.
But this situation might be a little bit different because it's not like, they drafted Zach Wilson to be his replacement or something. That's what basically Green Bay did. He's going there knowing this is sort of his victory lap.
Ooh, good one.
Yeah.
Nice little plug there.
Yeah. So, who knows? Maybe he can turn Zach Wilson around. I don't know if Jets fans would like that, to see Zach Wilson at quarterback in a few years.
Well, I think if Zach Wilson's good, they'll be happy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe he can show them how to get more than 2 yards in the second half.
I mean, let's not act like Aaron Rodgers is all the greatest to ever do it. I don't know. I mean, I don't see him ever mentoring Zach Wilson. I mean, I'm not sure Zach Wilson even wants to be mentored with the way he was
Because
talking.
what are they going to do with him? Is he just going to
Wilson? He'll be out of the league.
just be the backup for these next 2 years, or are they going
Yeah.
to look to move on, do we think?
I mean, he'll probably be the backup to Rodgers. I mean, that's not a bad backup to have. He's not going to be overly expensive. Once he starts getting expensive, you cut him loose. Like, I mean, it's a fine way to go about it. I mean, Mike White's gone, so you don't have him as the greatest backup ever, but
Yep.
still got Chris Streveler, I believe. So like that's something where you can ride that if you're really desperate. I don't know. I mean, Aaron Rodgers isn't going to miss time. He plays through injuries even when he shouldn't. Like Zach Wilson's probably not going to see the field unless it's a meaningless Week 18 game and the Jets have already clinched whatever they're trying to get. Like I don't see Wilson getting mentored by Rodgers because Rodgers, I mean, he learned from the greatest guy to never mentor a guy in Brett Favre.
That's true.
Like, it's not his personality. It's not who he is. So, I don't really see that happening. And I don't think the Jets. I think the Jets are going to be a little disappointing. I mean, I think they're still going to be good, but all this hype of them being Super Bowl or bust, I think that is absolutely the mindset they're having going into the season. But I think they're better off preparing for a little bit of disappointment.
I don't think that's what Jets fans want to hear.
Oh, I know it's not what Jets fans want to hear. I've talked to plenty of Jets fans in the last 2 days already, and I know for a fact it's not what they want to hear, but it's what I think is going to happen based off what I know about Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, and one last stat before we move on.
Okay.
The last time a Jets quarterback got a single MVP vote was Joe Namath in 1972. Will Rodgers break the curse? Probably not, but he could.
He could.
He could. There are opportunities there.
Yeah. I mean,
Are the odds in his favor? Probably not.
I mean, he is the kind of guy who would rather have an MVP than. No, that's not true. Even he wouldn't actually want an MVP over a Super Bowl. No, he wouldn't. He's not. He would rather win, but like, it's more likely he gets an MVP than a Super Bowl.
That's what he told that one professor in college.
That is. That was the biggest lie I think
about
I've
how
ever heard.
he didn't write his paper correctly, and all of his classmates got to rewrite it.
Yeah.
And she called him an entitled athlete.
Yes.
So
that's such a lie.
So he said.
That never happened.
She said, "You'll never go to the league." He said, "Watch me."
He's such a liar. That is the most false story I think I've ever heard come out of a human's mouth.
I don't know. We'll have to.
Let's hit him up. Let's see if he can confirm. Let's move on to the NBA. I'm done talking about Aaron Rodgers. Which team do you think is the most likely to come back from being down 3-1?
So before I say my initial answer, I want to say my honorable mention, which is the Cavs. I just can't see. I would have thought this would be the other way around, to be completely honest. I thought the Cavs could come out of the East going into this series. I think Donovan Mitchell and that team is that good. But unfortunately, they're down 3-1, and that Knicks crowd in that city is going to erupt when the Knicks, they're going to win. The Knicks are going to win this series. They're not going to come back. But my real answer is the Bucks.
Yeah.
You know, I can't believe the Miami Heat, who was the 8th seed, lost the first game of the play-in tournament, has them down 3-1. And if there's anything we know about Giannis is how big of a competitor he is. We saw it in the finals a couple years ago, and he just leaves it out there on a night-to-night basis. And, you know, they're the 1 seed. How are they down 3-1? I mean, good for the Heat. Good for Jimmy Butler. He's such a dog.
He is.
56 points when Giannis played. And, you know, the Bucks, they're going to be at home tonight. And Game 7 would be in Milwaukee. So I think I'm giving them the best shot. But they're probably not going to win. But because there's a lot of 3-1 series right now.
There are.
It seems like more than
surprisingly a lot of 3-1 series.
So I think they'll probably win tonight. But winning 3 in a row against that Heat team with Jimmy Butler, I don't think it's going to happen. But I think out of any team, the Bucks probably got the best shot.
I'd have to agree. I mean, it has to be the Bucks as the pick to come out of this. I'm with you, though. I don't know if they can. Because it seems like what they have to do is to hold Jimmy Butler to under the 4th most points in a single playoff game in NBA history, which honestly seems like it's a lot harder than it should be. The way that Jimmy Butler has been playing has been on such a different level. Like, the guy doesn't seem like he's even on this planet anymore with how good he's looking on the floor. And I don't know if he can. I don't know if they can stop him long enough to be able to come back from 3-1. I don't really think they can do it, if I'm being honest. Like, I think if there's any team that could, it's the Bucks. But with the way that Jimmy has been playing, I think they might have their hands full. I love Giannis. Don't get me wrong. Giannis is a freak. He is the Greek freak for a reason.
Good one.
But thank you. But it seems like they have a little too much on their hands here. I mean, I don't believe an 8 seed has ever knocked a 1 seed out.
Never.
And I think we might be seeing the first. I know the Bulls got close that one year, but I think that this is the time where we finally see a 1 seed get bounced in the first. And, I mean, it doesn't help that Giannis was hurt, and Giannis still probably is playing banged up right now.
But it's still Giannis.
Exactly. And Giannis is still the best player on the planet. The Bucks are still the best team in the league. Like, this should be the Bucks, but it's not, and I think it's kind of awesome.
It's crazy. Because not only are the Heat the 8th seed, they lost their first play-in game.
Yeah.
When they lost that game, I was like, oh, man, I think the window for the Heat might just be over with.
I think I picked the Heat to not even come out of the play-in after they lost that game.
Because they lost to Atlanta.
Yeah.
And then they beat
the
Bulls.
The Bulls.
I believe.
Yeah, because the Bulls beat the Raptors.
Yep. Yeah, we've never seen this before.
No.
And shout out to Jimmy Butler.
Honestly.
For just finally finding a home with the Heat. He was with it in another thing. I can't believe the Sixers let him go.
Yeah.
I love that one. Remember when he was like, Ben Simmons over me? Tobias Harris over me? Seriously. Can you imagine if he stayed on that team?
They would be the best team in the league by a landslide. Like, it wouldn't even be close. No one would be sniffing that team in the playoffs.
I mean, just combining him and Embiid alone.
Yeah.
And then you get a shooter around you like Tobias Harris. Now you got Tyrese Maxey.
And plus, if you still have James Harden on that team. Yeah.
And then at the time, I think they had J.J. Redick, who was one of the best spot-up three-point shooters in the league.
Yep. Now he's
Honestly,
one of the best podcasters
he
of
is.
all time.
He's great.
He is so good. Big JJ fans.
Yeah. But, and then he went to the Timberwolves. Obviously, he made Cat upset, so he's out of there. And now it seems like people are going to remember him as a Miami Heat player.
Yeah.
I think that's probably where he's going to retire, and he got him to the finals.
You almost forget where he even started.
Yeah, Chicago.
Yeah.
He did win Most Improved Player in 2015.
I do believe he did.
Yeah. And he kind of broke that sort of, not curse, but I feel like when you think of the Miami Heat in the 2000s, you think of LeBron.
Yep.
And he was the first one to sort of like make them a very good team again and take them all the way to the finals. So, and now this year, he's got the number 1 seed down 3-1. And honestly, who knows how far they can go?
Honestly, with the way he's been playing, obviously having no Tyler Hero is going to hurt. But, like, with the way Jimmy has been playing, with the way that he has proved that he can play in the playoffs, the sky's the limit for this team, honestly. Which is absurd to say, considering where they entered. Like, you mentioned it. They lose their first game of the play-in. Like, I didn't even think they were going to come out of the play-in. Now they're the 8 seed going against the Milwaukee Bucks, the best team in the league for pretty much the entire year, and they have them on the ropes. Like, this Heat team is kind of insane. Like, they shouldn't be able to do this, but they are.
I think you got to look at Coach Spoelstra, too.
Yeah. He's one of the best. He's
Yeah.
one of the best in the league right now, hands down.
And Jimmy Butler, he's never been the most flashy player.
No.
He just puts in the work.
Yep.
And then it's all of a sudden you look up at the box score, oh, he's got 50.
Yeah.
Where? How? Because he doesn't really drive down the lane and dunk on people. He doesn't really shoot these logo threes or anything like that. He just gets good quality shots. And he's just a fundamentally great player.
Yep. It's sometimes all it is just outworking everybody around you until the point where you can do everything great. Because he's, like you said, he's not like, there's no one trait that he has that is hands down better than everybody in the league. The best thing he probably does is defense.
Yep.
Like when it comes to, like, compared to the league, that's the only thing where he's probably like top 5 in. But even that, I don't know if he's a top 5 defensive player in the league. He's just a really good defensive player.
Yeah, he's up there for sure.
Like, I hate making this comparison because he's not him. But it's kind of like Kobe. Because Kobe, if we're being honest, what did Kobe do singularly that was better than every single player in the league? The only thing was the post fade. He had that move. Other than that, I mean, Kobe was just great at everything.
He'll dunk on you. Kobe would dunk on you,
He would dunk on you, but it wasn't like he was like some, like, generational dunker. Like, he was a good dunker, but he wasn't like, it wasn't like he was Jaw. It wasn't like he was Vince Carter. Like, he could just throw it down on you if he needed to. Jimmy can throw it down on you if he needs to. What they both did so well was they just outworked everybody around them, and they had that killer instinct.
And Kobe more than anyone in the history of the league.
Yep. And
it really is not, well, you can make a case, but...
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a certain guy who wore 23 for his entire career that could make the case that he had a better killer instinct because, if we're being honest, he probably did. Because that's where Kobe got it from. But, I mean, I think that, like, these two players, Jimmy and Kobe, are a lot more similar than I think people might realize. Like, Kobe's obviously better. Like, I don't think anybody is going to argue against that. That would be a dumb argument. But they're both guys that just have that drive, are able to just turn it on when they need to, and they will outwork every single human that is around them until they are better than every single human that is around them. Like, it's their mindset. It's how they've made it this far. It's how they're going to continue to stay in this league. And it makes me like Jimmy so much. It makes him so much fun.
Yeah, and I think Jimmy Butler went to a JUCO college.
Represent. We love JUCOs here.
We do.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But he wasn't this highly rated guy in high school that was going to be like a lottery pick. He quite literally worked his way up to where he is now. And I think I saw something. He was like, I think this was a story about him. He was working at a McDonald's, and he faxed his, like, letter through them or something like that. It was some story like that. But he just really worked for everything he's got now.
Yeah.
And it's just great.
It is. It makes all of us happy. It's fun when you see the hardworking guy come out on top. You know what's not fun? Well, I guess it's kind of been fun. Dylan Brooks is down 3-1. And the media is apparently the villain in this story. Is they're making Dylan Brooks look like the bad guy. Do we really think the media is the ones making Dylan Brooks look like the villain here?
You're telling me they're not? You're saying Dylan Brooks isn't the nicest guy in the league? Is that what we're going with?
I believe that is what we're going with.
No, of course they're not making him the villain. I mean, this guy's such a cornball.
Oh, 100%.
I mean, they win game 2. He's all backstage, or when he's doing his post-game interview with the jewelry and the shades on, and talking about, I poke bears, I don't care, LeBron's old, I don't respect nobody until they give me 40. And then the next 2 games you get cooked, and you don't want to speak to the media. Come on, bro. What are you doing? I'm sorry, he might be the most unlikable guy in the league right now.
I don't think it's a might. I don't think there's anyone particularly close.
And there was, to make matters worse, there was that one clip of him in January when he was talking about guarding LeBron, and he was like, he don't like to go left. I'm going to just make him drive left every time. Well, he just drove left and hit the game-tying bucket on you. It's just, man, I just feel like it's going from bad to worse with him. And the only thing I will say, he's who he is because of what he says. But sometimes the media doesn't help. Like, I saw Bleacher Report post that video, that January clip of Dylan Brooks yesterday. They didn't really have to do that.
No.
Like, it's still something that he said, but it's almost like it's not helping you.
No. I mean, they didn't have to do it, but
It's funny.
there's I mean, he didn't have to. But the media is always going to take the shots at a player that they don't like. That's how the media is. So, like, sure, the media is doing a little bit to in Dylan Brooks's own words, poke the bear. But, like, they're only doing it because Dylan Brooks is asking for it, like, the way that he is. Like, this guy is going out here talking like he's Michael Jordan, and he's, like, he is closer to playing in Shanghai than he is to being Michael Jordan. Like, he's so bad. Like, if he was at least, like, a solid player, like, if Dylan Brooks never spoke, he'd be an okay role player. But unfortunately, Dylan Brooks speaks like he's an MVP, like, 5 years running. It's so embarrassing to watch this man go out here and try and act like he is God when he is nowhere close. It's hilarious.
It is. And I think we were talking about it the other day. This guy might just, yeah, you said it. He just might not be on this team after this series. I think I saw a report that it said something along the lines of like, oh, the Grizzlies have actually already tried to move on. And it just feels like after this series, of assuming that they lose,
Yeah.
This is it for him.
It should be.
And it's kind of unfortunate because he's not an awful player.
He's not.
He's a decent defender. He'll get you like 12, 13, 14 a game. 5 and 4-ish.
Yeah, I think he's averaging like 13, 4, and 3.
Something like that. So if he just could kind of, I don't want to say know his role, but sort of do his job and sort of recognize like where he is on that team and recognize like, okay, if I would say his best trait is probably his defense.
Yeah.
If he just kind of stuck to that and let Ja go out and get 30, 40 every night, it seems like, this team is good. But if they didn't have as much drama and unnecessary like headlines and stuff, this should be a lot more likable team for sure.
Yeah.
They'd probably be having a little more success too.
Yeah.
Because I gotta think his teammates are like, come on, bro. Like,
I would hate playing with him. I would hate playing with Dylan Brooks. Because, like, he's not good enough to do this. Even if he was good, I still don't even think I'd want to listen to it. Like, what? He's not going to respect anybody until they put 40 on his head? Like, what are we talking about?
LeBron got 40 on you. You just did it. He divided up into statistical categories.
Exactly. He did.
Does he respect him now? Probably not.
No.
Because he's old.
That's respectable. I'm not going to.
We
don't have to respect our
It was
elders.
just with the smug he said it with. He
Yeah.
said, I don't care. He's old. I poke bears. I don't. Yeah. You guarded him while he drove to the lane and hit the game-tying bucket on you.
Yeah.
The old guy, according to you.
Yeah, that guy. That can't score from his left. That guy.
Scored from his left, took the game to overtime, and ultimately beat you.
Yeah. Beat him handily in overtime, too.
Yeah, they did. And might ultimately knock you out of the league
Yeah.
after this series.
Yeah. That would be a fall from grace, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
What a bum.
I think the Grizzlies, we're going to talk about some games tonight.
We are. Want to talk about them now?
We can transition to them right now.
All right. Let's start. Let's start with the Lakers-Grizzlies, since we're already talking about them. How do we feel about this game tonight?
I got that the Lakers are going to win. I think the Lakers should be having the mindset of the faster we get this series over with, the more rest
Yep.
they can get. And obviously, that's going to be a big deal for this team, AD and LeBron especially. But I don't really see the Grizzlies going down without a fight either. It's going to be in Memphis. And the only thing is, Ja's hand, that injury is still suspect.
And I'm sure you saw the play where he tried to end LeBron's career, hits the ground hard, and comes up shaking his hand like he just broke it.
And that's another thing. There was that play, and there was other times in that game where he just drives out of control into the paint, and it seems like he's on the ground every play.
Yeah.
I think he's got to be more mindful of, I probably shouldn't be doing this every single play. And because we don't want to see Ja just be injury prone.
No. He's too fun to watch.
He is. But I think the Lakers are going to take this one tonight and sort of put them away for good.
I agree. I think that with Ja's hand the way it is, I don't think he's going to be able to put up a crazy number like he normally would be able to. And I don't see Desmond Bane dropping another 40 bomb. The one who I do see dropping 40 is LeBron. I think LeBron is finally going to shut Dillon Brooks up for good this time when he puts 40 on his head for real. And I think he's going to knock the Grizz out. I don't think the Grizzlies are good enough to do it. And, the Lakers look like they are one of the best teams in the entire NBA right now. And
that's crazy.
It is. It's absurd considering the way But between everything that both I was saying, that the media was saying, the record was saying, this team looked like they were done a month, 2 months in. Mm-hmm. And now we're looking at the Lakers as a legitimate title contender. It's wild, the 180 that they have pulled, but it feels real. This team feels that good. And they close it out tonight.
Yeah, and one more sub point on the Lakers. We don't have this script or plan, but I think after this year, they should realistically look to trade AD.
Yeah. If they win, yeah. If they lose because of him, yeah.
It's over. I think
he did play like garbage.
At the end of the
last
day,
game.
His injuries and his inconsistency starting to outweigh how dominant he can be.
Yeah.
It didn't used to be like that before, but he gave you 11 points the other night.
I think it was 12 and 11.
And that's in overtime. That's with overtime. I think up until at halftime.
He had 8 and 7 through regulation.
Yeah. You can't have that.
No.
You just simply cannot do that if you're him. And he was supposed to sort of take the keys to the franchise, and LeBron was supposed to take that backseat.
Yep.
If they can find a good trade partner, I think they should do it.
If they can find a good deal, yes.
Imagine if they had a guy like Sabonis instead of him. They won't give him up probably, but
no, not at this point. But I think you're more looking for a guy I'm not saying trade AD for Desmond Bane straight up, but I'd rather have a guy like Desmond Bane because I like Austin Reeves. I think that you would rather have a legitimate top 3-point shooter in the league over an Austin Reeves. I would move Reeves to the bench. Maybe you start Bane at the 3 or something. You could figure a way out to have them both on the floor and both starting, but I would rather have a legitimate shooter than another center. The Lakers could use a center, sure, but LeBron's basically a 5 if you really need him to be.
Yeah. Because AD could go get you 40 tonight, but if they get to the finals, he could go out there and drop 10.
Yeah. He could also just straight up miss the finals and not hold out for that long.
He could. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Let's move on. Knicks Cavs. How do you feel about that?
Oh, I think the Cavs are winning tonight.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I said it earlier, they're not going down in 5 games.
No shot.
Donovan Mitchell's way too much of a competitor. And the Knicks as a team are better than this. Like I said, I can't believe they're down 3-1. I really can't believe it. The Cavs are better than this. This first season with Donovan Mitchell on the Cavs, this is a failure. If they ultimately end up losing this series, which they're going to.
If they lose first round, yeah.
Because we talked about them this last week, about who had the most pressure, and I said Donovan Mitchell. And here we are, they're down 3-1. So, but I think the Cavs are taking this one.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think the Cavs take this game, but I think the second it goes back to MSG, it's the Knicks.
Yeah.
I don't see the Cavs winning in the Garden.
No.
That crowd is absurd. You mentioned it. I think everybody who's watched this series knows that New York is rocking right now with how good the Knicks are, and I like the Cavs too. I mean, I didn't have them coming. I don't think I had them coming out of the East once the playoffs started, but I know early in the year I did, and I know that they, at the very least, have the talent to come out of the East.
Yep.
But this Knicks team has it, and there's no chance that Cavs are winning 3 in a row. They might win 1. They're not winning 3.
Game by game, Jalen Brunson is making that deal worth it.
100%. And really, that was what they gave him the money for, is they saw Jalen Brunson with the Mavs go off in the playoffs, and they're seeing it now where down the stretch, Jalen Brunson has been the best player on this team. And he has been the soul of this team. If they haven't had Jalen Brunson, they're not even in the playoffs.
No.
And I know that when he signed this deal, there were a lot of people that weren't very happy with it. And he's making all of them eat their words.
Well, it was crazy at first. They gave the most money ever given to a non-All-Star in NBA history. That's what that deal was. So on the surface, it was like, oh wow, they definitely overpaid him. But you look where they're at now, might be worth it.
It's something where, do you care if he's not an All-Star if you know he's a proven playoff performer?
That's where they're at.
I am one with the mindset of I don't care what you do in the regular season. If you can show up when it matters most, then you're worth it. And Jalen Brunson can show up when it matters most.
And shout out to Tom Thibodeau for benching Julius Randle when
Yep.
he needed to, instead of trying to force feed him the game and the ball and being like, no, this is our guy. You got to just recognize when a guy doesn't have it. Mm-hmm. And that's exactly what he did. And that's one of the bigger reasons why they won that game. Because I still think Julius Randle isn't the guy that can just carry you to the promised land.
Yeah, I don't think he is.
And that's
either.
why Jalen Brunson's there, though.
Yep. And I'm not sure Jalen Brunson can be the best team or the best player on a championship team, but he at the very least can be a great number 2 on it.
Yeah.
And right now he's showing that he's good enough to beat a very good Cavs team, not single-handedly, but he's good enough to be the best player on a team that can beat a very good Cavs team.
Yep.
So they can make a good run. I could see them in the conference finals, 100%.
Especially if the Bucks aren't there.
Exactly. Let's talk about the Bucks. Bucks Heat. Where do you think this one goes?
I 100% think the Bucks win tonight. They're at home again. They're not gonna have the gentleman's sweep. I think in Milwaukee, they're not a team that's gonna give up. The Bucks, I think this is the biggest lock here. The Bucks are gonna win this game tonight.
I agree. I think this one is. I don't want to necessarily say. I mean, it's kind of a lock, if we're being honest. Yeah, the Bucks win. If I'm being honest, though, I think the Heat win in 7. I still got Miami winning it. I think it goes a distance because I think Milwaukee with Giannis is too good to go down any more than in 3 games the rest of the way. They're going to take 2, and they're going to take 1 in Miami. But I think it goes back to Milwaukee, and Jimmy Butler is going to have all of the hatred and fire in the world and steal Game 7 in front of the home crowd of the Bucks. I think the Heat come out of this series on top.
That would be so cold.
Oh, it would be. He would be the biggest dog in the history of the NBA. But, this is the same guy who said he wants the 3rd stringers. Jimmy is like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think. Yeah, they don't. If they gave off playoff MVPs, it's Jimmy right now, 100%.
No question, it would be Jimmy.
And especially if the Heat win tonight,
It's over.
Oh, it's absolutely over. And that would be so huge for the Heat's sake because you take care of the Bucks in 5 games.
You're terrifying if you can do that.
And then not only that, you give yourself a little bit more rest time.
Yep.
I don't know, man. This Heat team,
They could do it.
they're coming.
They are. This is a very scary team right now.
Because the way I'm looking at it, if they can beat the Bucks, they can beat the Celtics.
100%.
They can beat the Sixers.
Let's think about this. If they can beat the Bucks, they can beat anybody. The Bucks won 58 games this year. That was the most in the NBA. If they can beat that, they can beat every single team in the league. And if they could beat the Bucks in 5, just imagine what they can do the rest of the league.
Yeah. This Heat team might just be the dark horse of this playoffs.
Yeah. Let's talk about the final game tonight. Warriors-Kings. This one's tough. I mean, I'll start with it. I know you're going to say the Warriors. And it pains me, but I'm also going to say the Warriors. As much as I love the Kings, I'm very scared with the way De'Aaron Fox, his health is playing out. If he's healthy, I think the Kings take it. But he's playing with a broken finger on his shooting hand. That's going to impact him a lot. If De'Aaron isn't going to be able to drop 35 like he has every single game, it's going to be very tough for this Kings team to actually not just win tonight, but win this series. The only way they can do it is if every single other player outside of De'Aaron steps up in a way that they haven't been able to. Malik Monk did it early, but he's since cooled back down. Kevin Huerter's been horrible, and that can't continue. He's going to have to be the Kevin Huerter we saw in the regular season, who was the best three-point shooter in the league. Like, they're going to need Sabonis to put up better numbers. He's been solid, but he hasn't been the top 5 MVP finisher like he might be, or like he was in the regular season. That hasn't been him so far in the playoffs. They're going to need those guys to step up because De'Aaron's not going to be able to drop 35. And I think the Warriors win tonight, and I think they win this series in 6. I think they win the next 2.
The Warriors win the series?
Yeah.
I actually have the Kings tonight.
Really?
I do. The Warriors just won 2 games in a row. This Kings team is one of the best in the league this year, surprisingly, and I don't see them losing 3 games in a row, and especially in front of that home crowd. I know De'Aaron Fox's hand is it's sort of a cause for concern, but I think they're just gonna will to a victory tonight, and then the Warriors are gonna win at home, and then in Game 7 the Warriors are gonna beat them in 7. That's my prediction for this series.
I hope. I mean, I hope you're right up until the end. I hope the Kings win. This De'Aaron injury scares me. It scares me a lot.
You can't really get much worse than that.
No. The only worse you can get is Tyler Hero breaking his hand.
Yeah.
Like, you can break your hand.
His hand injuries.
Yeah.
Playoff
There's
job, too, I know.
That's weird. I don't like it.
Jaylen Brown, too.
Yeah. He put up 35 yesterday.
Yeah. He's another dog.
He is another dog. Making up for Tatum's bum.
He's a dog just like Robbie.
He is. Shout out Robbie. We love Matt Robinson.
Yeah. No, the Kings got this tonight, I think.
I hope you're right. I mean, this Sacktown crowd is absurd.
Yeah.
I mean, this might be the only crowd that's crazier than MSG.
Yeah, and this team very quietly has like one of the best offensive ratings in NBA history, I think.
Yep.
I saw some stat about that where they're like comparable to the 16-17 Warriors. So this is just a better team than a lot of people think, and I think they take care of it tonight.
I hope you're right. Let's move on to our final segment. We're looking forward to this one. It's a starting 5. Today, we are going to be drafting the best off-season acquisitions, be it trades or free agency.
Which means a player going to a new team.
Yes.
Basically. The first time a player suits up for their new team.
Yes.
That's what the criteria we're going with? Yeah, that makes sense, right? Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So now, we play rock, paper, scissors to determine the draft order. Just before we start, I would like, are we going to keep it where we snake it, or do we want to go back and forth?
I think let's go back and forth.
Okay.
We'll do it, we'll do that.
So that way you're actually incentivized to win this. Yeah. Yes. All right.
Ready?
On shoot.
Yes. Rock, paper, scissors. What? I think I'm 0 for 3.
It's the mind games.
I think, yeah.
It's the mind games. I knew you were going paper. You did scissors the last 2 times and lost to rock both times. I knew it.
This is rigged.
No, I just know you.
Victory lap is rigged.
All right, with my first pick of the draft, I'm going Shaquille O'Neal. Goes to the Lakers, 3-peats, 3 Finals MVPs. I think that's the greatest off-season acquisition in the history of sports.
See, I thought about that one. I didn't even have it on my list though.
Really?
I didn't. Yeah, that's a good one for sure. My first pick, probably a predictable one. I'm going LeBron to the Heat.
I figured. I knew that was your one.
That that announcement ceremony, the decision, everything surrounding that had the sports world in a buzz. Cavs fans were burning his jersey. That was cold-blooded.
It was.
The way he handled that situation.
Oh, it was menace. It's the reason why I didn't like LeBron for like all the way up until this year. I've been very petty towards LeBron after that.
It was awesome.
I have no respect.
He joined forces with Wade and Bosh. Remember the ceremony when they were on the stage and they like...
Yeah. Oh, I remember.
And they won him 2 rings, 2 Finals MVPs, 2 regular season MVPs.
Yep. Yeah.
This shifted the NBA.
Yeah.
For sure.
I think that's a good number 2.
What do you got for a number 2 pick?
I'm gonna get cheeky with my second pick.
Okay.
Very cheeky with my second pick. It was a trade. This one. You might even say this doesn't count. Kobe Bryant, draft day trade.
You're reaching. That's a reach. You already lost. It's over.
Kobe Bryant is a top 5 basketball player in the history of the NBA, and technically he was an off-season acquisition.
Okay. All right. Sticking with basketball, I'm going KD to the Warriors.
Okay.
That July 4th bomb that the sports world dropped on us when it was KD's going to the Warriors with Steph and Clay after they won 73 games. I mean, that was insane. People were ready to stop watching the NBA after that because of how unfair everyone thought it was going to be, which it really was. They got 2 rings. KD, again, just like LeBron with the Heat, 2 rings, 2 Finals MVPs, and he was unstoppable. He was unstoppable in those series against the Cavs.
I'm going to take the best pick of the draft, without a doubt in my mind, a man that I have slandered to here and back. I am taking Babe Ruth being traded for a bag of chips to the Yankees and then proceeding to win 4 championships, an MVP. He hit .350 for 15 years. He hit 659 homers. He had an OPS plus of 209 over the course of 15 years. This is the best pick of the draft, without a doubt in my mind.
I got a counter for that one. We'll stick with baseball.
Okay.
I got A-Rod going to the Yankees. The deal that was going to send him to the Red Sox was pretty much agreed on. But then the Players Association was like, no, he's going to take a pay cut just to go to the Red Sox. No, we don't want that to happen. And then the Yankees entered the chat and stole him. As a Yankee fan, this one sort of hits home.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to picture A-Rod in a Red Sox uniform, even though it was probably a day or 2 from happening.
Yeah.
That's my number 3 pick. I felt like you would appreciate that one. Baseball pick.
I'll take another baseball pick. I'll take the greatest pitching acquisition in the history of ever in the offseason. I'm taking Randy Johnson to the Diamondbacks. He spent 5 years with the D-backs. He won 4 straight Cy Youngs and a World Series. Without a doubt in my mind, the best pitching move in offseason history in baseball. No doubt.
It's a good one. I respect that one. I'm kind of torn where to go for 4 here. I think I'm going to go to football here and take Randy Moss to the Pats. That 2007 season was absurd. That was their undefeated season. Brady, 117 QB rating, which is a career high. And, I mean, you give Randy Moss to Tom Brady, it's over. Until the Giants played them in the Super Bowl.
And that's my only reason why I didn't have Randy Moss on my list, because obviously Randy Moss had one of the best receiver years ever.
Yeah.
You could argue the best receiver year ever.
Yep.
And he led the Pats to an undefeated season. He didn't lead the Pats, but he transformed the Pats into a perfect regular season team. If they won the Super Bowl, I would have had Randy Moss on my list. The fact that he didn't lead to a win, I don't have him. And my last pick is tough. I have a few guys that I could go with.
Mm-hmm.
I have a few. But I'm not going to do the one, I'm not going to do probably the objectively right pick. Instead, I'm going to go with a different one. I'm going to take Dennis Rodman to the Bulls. Goes there in 3-peats. Jordan recruits him himself. He's the greatest rebounder in the history of the NBA. He's one of the best defensive centers in the history of the NBA. may not have won any Finals MVPs because Jordan was there, but he was a member of the big three that led to a three-peat.
Yeah, they don't win those titles without him.
Nope.
He was their Draymond. Yeah. Man, I had that one on my list. But I have a good pivot here.
Okay.
For 5, this honestly might be my best one. I've got Kareem going to the Lakers.
That is a good one.
5 rings, you got him.
That's a good one.
I mean, that sort of sparked the Showtime era, him and Magic Johnson and everything. Came from the Bucks all the way to LA. You know, what else? There's not much else to say. It's Kareem going to the Lakers.
That's a really good pick. I was hoping you were going to sell on your last one. Unfortunately, you didn't. That's a great pick. That is a really good one. So, to recap, I had Shaq with my first pick. Then I took a cheeky one with Kobe Bryant. And then I took Babe Ruth, Randy Johnson, Dennis Rodman.
I like mine better, but you got some good ones in there. I don't know if I'm giving you that Kobe pick.
The Kobe one I wanted to get as cheeky as possible.
So I got LeBron going to the Heat, KD to the Warriors, A-Rod to the Yankees, Randy Moss Pats, and Kareem going to the Lakers. And then some honorable mentions I had. I did have Brady to the Bucks on here.
So did I.
Because that was a seismic shift.
It was.
I was like, whoa. That took some getting used to seeing him in another uniform.
And it kind of cemented the Brady legacy of, like, sure, he went to a team. The Bucks had a really good roster, but, like, Brady went in there and won that team a Super Bowl for, the first time?
First time ever?
Ever, I think. Because I think they lost to the Raiders.
Yeah.
And the one time they were there. And that was the first one that he did away from Belichick, and he did it his first year there.
Mm-hmm. And beat Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, I had that on my list. Another one that I had that I kind of wanted to take, but I couldn't bring myself to taking was Barry Bonds to the Giants. And he won 5 MVPs. Like, he turned into the greatest hitter to ever live, even if it was with steroids. I couldn't do it. He cheated and he never won a ring. I feel like if you don't win a championship, it can't count as a great offseason move.
I had also, you would probably not appreciate this one. I had KG to the Celtics.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
I didn't have that, but that's a good one.
From Minnesota to going there, and then they won that 2008 ring. And then sort of this was going to be like a desperation. I feel like this would have maybe went if this was a starting 10. I had AD to the Lakers.
I wasn't even thinking that.
That kind of felt like the piece that they needed to win the title, and they did end up winning.
Yeah. I had another one in the same esque of Kobe is Drew Brees to the Saints. Another one where it's like he was drafted by the Chargers, and then I don't even think he ever played a snap. I don't even think he ever played for the Chargers.
No.
And goes to the Saints and becomes one of the greatest QBs ever. I had that as one. I didn't want to take both of them, though. Another one that I had was Deion Sanders to the Niners. He went there, spent one season, won Defensive Player of the Year and a Super Bowl, and then left.
Cold.
That's about as good as it gets.
Cold.
Like, that was one where it was like, if I needed a last pick and you stole some guys that I wanted, I would have gone there. Fortunately, I didn't need to. But
Yeah.
Yeah. Deion's a dog.
He might be the biggest dog of all of them, besides Robbie.
He might. It's a crime that we didn't draft him in the most athletic people ever list. The most athletic football players.
I did draft him, did I?
I don't
Or
think.
maybe he was on my list. I don't know if
I think Deion went undrafted for
Yeah.
the athletic football players. It's a shame. Or no, because it was athletic receivers. Because I think we didn't take him there. Yeah. But yeah. I like my team.
I like mine too. You got some good ones.
Yeah. Babe Ruth getting him in the third pick is my third pick.
Is a steal. I wasn't even thinking back that far, I guess.
Yeah. That was one of the first ones that came to my brain, but I thought that was one where I could get away with waiting for a little.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean the first one that comes to mind is almost every LeBron move.
Yeah.
Because
if you could package LeBron as just one LeBron for 3 different times he's changed teams,
Yeah.
You'd have 4 rings.
Yeah, a quick little story. With when he went to the Lakers, I was at one of my friend's Blue Sox game, actually.
Oh.
Yeah. And we were watching the game, and all of a sudden, in between innings, they announce it at the game. There was like, and we have an announcement. LeBron is going to Hollywood, going to the Lakers on a 4-year, 150-something, whatever the deal was. And everyone there was like, they just started talking about it and everything. So that was a very like, remember where you were when it happened type of moment. Because I had that on there too.
Yeah. I didn't have LeBron to the Lakers because I just had the one to the Heat. I remember, I've had a lot of memories of where were you when X happened?
Yeah.
Most of the time I was at Dodger Stadium. LeBron to the Heat was one of those times. I was at a Dodger game. I think it was before the game started, and they announced on the Jumbotron and like on the PA that like LeBron James is officially a member of the Miami Heat. Like that's where he's going. And I think the entire stadium booed. Another time was when Barry Bonds, another guy who I had on there, was when he broke the home run record. I was also at Dodger Stadium, and once again the entire crowd booed. So like, had a few too many memories, bad memories of major sport things happening while I was at a Dodger game.
You know what? I'm surprised one you didn't pick.
Which one?
Manny Ramirez
I didn't want it.
going to the Dodgers.
No, because he didn't win and he took steroids and he broke my heart.
Fair.
I loved Manny so much. I had a Manny picture in my room. I had the Manny hair, and there's like Manny Wood was one of the greatest things. One of my favorite Dodger memories is Manny hitting a pinch hit grand slam on his bobblehead night. Like, I've had a lot of very fond memories of that man, but then the ending was too sour for me to hold that.
That's fair.
Yeah. Well, I think that does it for us. Thank you all for joining us here on the Victory Lap. As always, like and subscribe. We'll be back next week for our final edition of the Victory Lap here on Utica TV. Thank you all for joining us so far here along this ride.